You're welcome. It's such an honor to have you here today. Now, can you start off by telling us a little bit more about you and where are you from,
Nahum? Sure. I am from Massachusetts. My first name is Hebrew and my last name is Greek. So kind of a little bit of a mutt, but that's cool. Makes me original. So I grew up in New England, and I bounced around in foster care for many years. And I kind of was really lost as a kid. And so I dropped out of high school and I ended up joining the military when I was 19. I actually, when 9/11 happened, I remember I went home. I was working construction, and I went home to stop at my parents' house before I went to work, and the TV was on, and I saw the plane fly into the building, and it's like, "Mom, what movie are you watching?" She was like, "That's the news." And something activated in me, because I didn't really know anything about the military. But years later, I would understand it. It was just my patriotic pride that I wanted to do something bigger than myself, and I really didn't have much going on in my life at the time. So I joined the military when I was 19, December 11th, 2001, and then I ended up spending 10 years in the military.
Incredible. And then you went into bodybuilding.
Yeah, and actually, my first bodybuilding show was in Iraq, so that was pretty cool. I was at Camp Taji in Baghdad, and I became Mr. Taji 09. I won the overall. Wow. And thank you. And back then the fitness industry was very, very different. And so all I had was bodybuilding.com and like muscular and development magazines to kind of figure things out by. So I just started kind of biohacking myself way before biohacking was even a thing. And I got in the best shape of my life. And after that, I got the bug, and I was just like, and I went full. Once I got back, from Iraq, I just went full into it. I was trying to go pro for a while, but those guys at that level are genetic freaks, and I felt like if I kept trying to pour myself, into it, I would be adopting some unhealthy habits, and I'd be hurting my body and my mind. And so, I'm grateful that I had that awareness to be able to scale it back before, because I started to see bad things happening to the people that I was competing against, like injuries and just I had a couple friends have to get a kidney transplant, liver problems, from just trying to get too big too fast, and for a sport that promotes so much health or the optimal physique, a lot of it is very unhealthy, which is really a big part of why I wrote my book. But I had to learn a lot of this stuff the hard way. Mm-hmm. And I came to realize that there's a correlation between my trauma growing up and my behavior patterns and habits going out in the world as I was an adult. And, God has a way of humbling even the most powerful human beings. And I'm grateful that I was humbled. It taught me a lot, and it really helped me to open my heart. What I really came to realize is, there's two paths people take in life. A lot of people that are really go-getters or have a big purpose in life. They go through the hero's journey, right? You see all these Marvel movies, and like really the basis of storylines for movies is, to a certain extent, mostly like the hero's journey. So when I started to kind of understand and look at my life like that, and things started to really make sense to me, it's, when you're in your ego, at least in your shadow aspects of your ego, you invite things to teach you. And in the moment, you might feel like a victim. You might feel like betrayed, or you've done something wrong. And we do get betrayed, and life doesn't feel fair, but it's because it's something that within us is trying to show us that, hey, you're doing something wrong. Something is not ethically or morally sound or right here, and there needs to be an awareness to it. And we need to wake up to that imbalance within our consciousness. And it can happen in many, many, many ways. And I think a lot of people are experiencing something like that these days. So I did a really, really, really deep dive for a good 12 years of really searching within myself and doing a lot of deep work. And I went through a couple layers of existential crises, and I felt like I wanted to know, I wanted to see. But what I came to realize as I was seeking to see the full picture of who I was, I started to realize that there is no There is nothing out there. You can go through it to the threshold where you literally, like, I got to the point where I've had 9 near-death experiences.
Wow.
Because I wanted to test my consciousness. I wanted to understand. The more I wanted to understand, the more driven I went, like, kind of out of whack. And I guess you could say that a big driver for my life was understanding my fear. Because I was so afraid as a kid, right? Like, I was a nervous wreck. I had a stutter. And I didn't want to be afraid anymore. And a lot of times when we learn something, it oscillates, right? We have to go into something that really breaks us down, breaks us apart. Right. And then when we're broken down, we have to rebuild ourselves. And sometimes that, requires a couple trips around that oscillation. Took me a couple trips. But I'll say, I think the thing that really saved me, kept me grounded here and kept me going is my daughter. When my daughter was born, that cracked me open. I could, and I'm sure anybody that has kids out there, I'm sure you understand. Like, when my baby took her first breath, I didn't stop crying for 3 months. I felt so much love. I almost didn't know how to handle it. Right. And isn't that funny? Isn't that ironic, I should say, when you receive all this love, and sometimes parts of us, we don't feel like we deserve it. We feel like we're unworthy. And I had to really, really sit with those kind of feelings, that shame and guilt for all kinds of stuff that was passed down generation to generation. But I was really proud of myself when I was really able to heal my relationship with my parents, because obviously we had a really tumultuous, time when I was a child. And I was able to really kind of look beyond all the pain and just show my love to them anyways. And because we both decided to do the work together, me and my mom, me and my dad, we really have been able to shift the paradigm of that trauma. Because, I cannot be the one that will continue to pass that trauma down to my child. So I decided that stop with me, although when I first started my journey, I didn't understand that. It took me a long time to really comprehend, because the level and depth of pain that I was, I signed up to feel in this life has changed me in many, many ways, on many, many levels. But at the end of the day, I'm extremely grateful for it. And, I just try to stay present, not have any expectations, and let life be what it is, and go with the flow.
I love it. Now, Nahum, what message do you have for an individual who may be experiencing trauma?
Stop running from it if you are. When you run from your pain, or when you run from the stillness of self, you're only going to get yourself deeper and deeper entangled into a imbalance that is going to get harder and harder to pull out from. So do the work to feel your feelings. It really, especially for men, right? Men have a harder time feeling their feelings than women do. We were taught, particularly in my generation, we were taught just suck it up and, keep moving and, just be the provider and take care of the basics, and then everything else is going to fall in place. Well, that's not really how it works. Right. So we have to almost unlearn how to live life and tune into our heart and realize that sometimes the most logical things to do are not the right things to do.
Very powerful. Thank you so much for being transparent and vulnerable, Nahum. I appreciate you. Now, can you tell us more about your philosophy of spiritual bodybuilding?
Yeah, so going through all these experiences really helped me to structure how my consciousness was working, how my shadow aspects made me experience a lot of bad things in my life. And I correlated it to the physical body, the emotional body, the biochemical body, and the spiritual body. It shows up in many, many different ways in our life, but a lot of times when we're not tuned into our body, we don't see where our body is trying to speak to us. I call it decrypting the language of the human body, right? So when disease hits someone, or, when chronic accidents or chronic, tumultuous relationships, or avoiding your loved ones, like your family, like sometimes that's necessary, right? But as long as you can take that action with love in your heart, really it all comes down to learning to love yourself. And the more you love yourself, you can love life and everything else.
I love it.
Right?
Love it. Oh, very powerful message. Thank you, Nahum. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about your spiritual guide?
My spiritual guide? Oh, yeah, of course. So, for physical fitness is very, very important for all of us. And when we feed our body and we take care of our body, and we utilize our body in ways that push the threshold in healthy ways voluntarily to keep us stronger, right? And to do things that we know are good for us, that builds confidence. So I laid out a map to understand how our patterns and habits and behaviors, what they mean as far as a spiritual level in a lesson, right? Let me give you an example. So a lot of people in the fitness industry in particular, and this is common within like the special operations world in the military too, you push yourself, you push yourself, you push yourself. In one hand, you discover a lot about yourself when you do that. But what is the intention behind why you're pushing yourself? If you're pushing yourself so hard because you're angry at yourself, because self-loathing, that's going to make you want to take, steroids or do other performance-enhancing drugs to enhance the process, right? But that will also strengthen your ego. So you can do it in a conscious way, right? When you do it in a conscious way, you don't push your body too far out of balance. You take your time, you have patience with yourself. You know that there are cycles and rhythms, so you don't stay on stuff for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, right? And you don't continue to throw your body out of balance. You overtrain, you undereat, right? And that can create eating disorders. I used to struggle with the eating disorder when I was competing. It was crazy. And if you are struggling with the eating disorder, what emotionally does that mean? Right? It means that really a part of yourself believes that you deserve to suffer. So you actually go into these situations and experiences and create suffering, and you disguise it as discipline. You disguise it as, being alpha. You disguise it as A, B, and C, all these things out in the world that tell you who you should be. When the real place you need to be listening to for your limitations and your thresholds, because everybody has unique ones, is to tune within. Add in a cold plunge and, infrared sauna, or, fast every now and then. Give your digestive system a break. When you fast, you tune in more to your heart, and your consciousness. All these things are so important, but I see a lot of people avoiding and or ignoring these things to keep going. People, especially people that compete, they'll do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shows in a row, right? I cannot tell you how many clients I've worked with that have thrown they've created hyperthyroidism in their body, or they have, ulcerative colitis, or they develop some severe IBS issues, or they start to, herniate discs, or everything just starts to go haywire. And those are signals, those are signs that, hey, you're doing something, you're going too far out of balance here, and you're not supporting yourself for the long run. So different, I also break it down into different age groups, because the older we get, our needs change, right? And actually, the older we get, the more everyone, I would say between 35 and 45 gets to a threshold, right? Where the younger version, more stubborn version of you is no longer acceptable. You have to grow up. Everybody has a point where they have to grow up, and they reach this level of breaking point, because a lot of times, especially if things are going well in someone's life, they don't want to change, right? Because they've created attachments and habits and patterns. Especially people that are get really wealthy, but they're miserable. I cannot tell you how many people I've met that have all the money in the world, yet they are the most saddest, depressed, unhappy individuals I ever met in my life. It's crazy, right? It's because the wires are crossed. They're coming from an egocentric place, not a heart-centered place. And it's very few people that I met that are very successful in a deeply open heart, authentic way. And I think that we need more leaders like that. And I think that we're going to have more leaders like that, because, and women, going through the same thing. I'm talking more about men specifically, but, women, you guys have your own set of processes you have to go through. And it's really important for us to share these experiences and these insights, because deep down, people know and understand, hey, something's going to change. or I feel something's off and I don't really know what it is. But then it's like you just continue to, listen to a podcast and try to let them tell you what they say, or you just continue your habit, but you don't do anything about it. And it's going to come to a point where, okay, do you want to be healthy and happy and open and, have a good next chapter of your life? Well, then you got to start taking care of your health, especially with all the information coming out now about all the poisons that are in everything. And I mean, all over the place. Like you see, like they're trying to subdue us, the powers that were, and so we're kind of being set up to fail. So we have to take care of each other with the information, with the insight, and building the resources, right? Like people that own supplement companies that are actually good quality organic food, not with extra fillers or any crap. People that actually care about wanting to help people, right? And so that's why I'm here to do my part, however I can, to help support people to understand these concepts and things. And let's all be healthy and energized and have longevity together, and let's support each other in the process.
I love it, and you're doing absolutely amazing, Nahum.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Now, you experienced depression, correct?
I experienced depression, anxiety, panic attacks, you name it.
Thank you for, again, being vulnerable. Now, what message do you have for an individual who may be depressed?
Everything changes. So even if one is in a state of depression right now, be present, accept where you're at. A big part of it is not accepting it, like whatever's going on in your head, right? Whatever the negative talk is, whatever that's what's keeping you there. It's also a biochemical thing, right? So look, when you're ready to step out of that, then you will take the action. And when you set the intention to find the right resource to help you through it, you'll find it, and you have to believe that. And it will change. Nothing lasts forever. I spent most of my childhood, and I'd say out of my adult life, say like between 18 and now, I'd say I spent probably a good 20-something years struggling with depression. And it was even like suicidal thoughts, and I'm grateful that within me, I didn't have the, I kind of would call it strength to really like off myself. I thought about it a lot, but there was something in me that stopped me. And so if you're feeling depression, there's a good chance that feeling is within you too. And I'll tell you what, with that feeling is your heart. It is, if you want to call it, the Holy Spirit or your, divine source energy that is calling you home. And you're going to get there eventually. But everybody has to go through their season, right? And, there's no way around it. Depression sucks. But there are many, many modalities and ways out there now that can help, that won't hurt you. Peptides, for one thing. There are some peptides out there that are good, excellent for depression. And, seek out, talk therapy. You can seek out plant medicine. Microdosing psychedelics is a really new and up and coming way to be able to handle it and deal with it. But you have to go out there and ask for help. That's the biggest thing. If you're struggling with it, you have to ask for help. And you take that one step, and I promise you, you're going to get a step, back towards you.
Very powerful. Ask for help. Very powerful message. Now, Nahum, what gives you the most joy?
What gives me the most joy? Helping people.
Love it.
When I'm able to be a facilitator and a witness to seeing someone going from that said depressed place to just a catharsis of like feeling their emotions. I had somebody the other day. We cried together for like 45 minutes, and she needed to cry. She was just holding so much, and she didn't feel safe enough to feel her feelings. So being able to help someone move through that and understanding why they've been blocked, why things have been so stagnant and stuck. It is the most, next to being with my daughter, that is the next most fulfilling feeling in existence.
Wow. Thank you so much. And I love how you mentioned block, right? It reminds me of the book that we released called Overcoming Heart Blocks, Inspiring Stories for Healing from Trauma. Yes, we have to have those discussions, and we need to face it, right? As difficult as it may be in regards to facing the trauma, face it. I believe in you. Now, Nahum, thank you. What is your best advice to the audience for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness?
Let go of any expectations of life and take life one day at a time. The present moment is where joy is, right? And it's so easy to get caught up in the day and appointments and all these things that are going on in life. And so take some time every day to just be present with yourself and sit in gratitude. Like all you have to do is be present. That is really where everything that truly matters is.
So true. Sit in gratitude. I love it. Love it. Yeah. Yes. Now, Nahum, do you have any last words for the audience?
We are all going through a major shift right now. And so I'm sure everybody that's watching this in one way or another to some extent is feeling something. And just understand that, God is calling us all home. And we're all clearing out layers of things that are no longer serving us. So surrender to the process. Right now is a huge time for surrender. And the more that you surrender, the more you're going to get used to the surrendering. And that process is going to start to speed up, as opposed to the chaos of the outside world speeding up. It's shifting around. So embrace it. Embrace all the change. Embrace all the growth. Embrace whatever you're learning. And, learn to accept your own truth at the very deepest level.
Amen. I love it. Now, Nahum, where can the audience find you?
Well, I'm very active on my Instagram, Spiritual Bodybuilder. All my social medias are Spiritual Bodybuilder. And my website is optimizinghuman.com. I know I should change that up.
Thanks, Nahum, again, for being a guest on the Walk With Me podcast. God bless you and be safe.
God bless you too. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Welcome.